Hello everyone, what's going on? Forsaken Reaper here, and this is Storming the Walls number 2, and I was inspired to make this video by fellow subscriber Alexander Duke, who suggested that he needed help for defending a port castle, and I am Syracuse, and the Navarri are attacking me. That rhymed, that was good, and anyway, I've just come to show you today how to defend such a port city. And first of all, you'll notice one distinct feature. There was only one capture point, one in the center, and up to 3 ships, maybe 2 in this map, but usually 3 ships are able to squeeze in there and land. So we're going to have to make sure that that's a defensive feature. Also, whenever you're defending a castle, you want your archers or missile infantry on the top of the castle, on the ramparts. That gives them not only a bird's eye view, well, at least a elevated view to get better accuracy with throwing, but they can also deal way more damage and are far more protected up there. And it's much more difficult to bring them to make them retreat with what's it called? Skirmish mode. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, the first thing you need to notice is before you even position your troops, position them as to where you can possibly see your enemy. And as you can see, there's several, it would appear that they're on the left side, so it doesn't look very likely that they'd go all the way around and in here. But just to be sure, I'm going to place my ships in a distinct formation in a second. But also don't place your archers right here, because all these buildings right here, they cannot go in there, so it's futile to put them there, but it would probably be best to put them at an angle, because when they're charging right up, they're going to have their shields facing forward, and it's still going to be harder to hit. So put them in a line so they're really strung out and they all are attacking a different position, whether it be just a couple of inches. I'll show you a comparison as to whether you just put it this way. And while that is good for mass volleying on a single position, it's not the best for completely dealing casualties. Now, normally if there was like a siege engine of some sort, I would put a standard unit on the top of the ramparts to protect the archers, but obviously they have no such thing, and in fact the only thing they have that can really do damage to the wall is artillery, which I would suspect. I'm facing the AI on hard mode, so he may or may not attack the gatehouse with oil with his catapults, but we're going to put, you always want to put at least some of your strongest troops at the gate, because that's the only way they can get in, basically, unless they blow a wall in. And with phalanx formation, it will be extremely hard for them to break, and it will really contain them. Now, just because you had them in phalanx formation does not mean that they're going to be unstoppable. You need to put reserve forces on the sides in case any enemies seep through. Obviously, them in phalanx formation too. And that leaves us with 2 leftover units: Samnite, mercenary Samnite warriors, one of my personal favorites, and Thorax swordsmen. Now, obviously, the thing that makes them distinct from the rest of my units in my army, besides the missile troops, is that they have swords, which means they are proficient in melee combat, like close quarters combat. So, rather than just having them like having these guys right there, we're going to move them out, reposition them, and have these swordsmen in there, because if they do manage to seep through, then we will have the edge on them, because it will be extreme close quarter combat where spears would not be very efficient. And of course they also have a shield wall. I don't think they do. Nope. So that strengthens our left side. Now the question is, where do we put these remaining soldiers? Now, rather than just placing them here or placing them all back here, we want to put them in a strategic position. And with that, you have to think about the enemy's road to the capture point should they get there. Now, you don't want these guys to be in hoplite formation immediately. Put them in a position where if they have to, they will be, but so they can move around. And you're going to put them at the points which you think, all the entrance points basically. And in case, the very unlikely but highly possible chance that they completely outflank, then I'm going to move my general there. But the second that they say they come through the doors, break through all the other defenses, and go for these hoplites, I'm going to reposition my men to Oh shoot! Reposition. I meant to assist them, and I forgot to position these, unfortunately. But I just really had these, honestly, to show. In my personal opinion, I haven't tested it in a while, but I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword for having these ships and not in the way you think. And you might want to have these to take up the space for them to go. Like I could just have them land right there, and they'd have to go through the walls, which would be very smart. Except that as you can obviously see, that there is not as many men on there. A, B, they are susceptible to attack from the enemy. Also, if you try to just delay them, I think that you'll just end up killing 2 units that could have been used more productively. And to prove that, I'm going to show. Again, I'm testing it. I don't know 100% for sure, but we are going to try that out. Especially since the enemy will have way more numbers on sea. You're not going to have your entire army at sea. That'd just be stupid. Let's go for their general. And have them both roll hard. Or maybe just the archers. Now, Syracuse, we're a Greek city-state, obviously, but Syracuse is one of my favorites because of the unit selection you just saw. Mercenary Samnites, Mercenary Etruscan Hoplites. They are a very well-rounded faction and one of my personal favorites due to their mixture, because other Greek factions like Sparta or Athens really only have thorax swordsmen, but the Syracuse have a very wide mixture and variety, due to the fact that they're so far into the so far west into the Mediterranean compared to the Balkan Peninsula. But enough of that. They're just one of my favorites. But now, as you can see, the artillery striking, just barely missing. But that fire will do some damage, and they're throwing missiles onto the enemy Oathsworn. So far, none. And in the new patch update, which my Rome 2 has been broken for a while, but I just recently got it fixed. They now, any units with spears, like, ooh, that was hard. Any units with spears can throw them, like the Romans in their pila, similar to the Oathsworn. Like, they were essentially missile troops in that position. But as you can see, I think my theory is being proven, at least for 2 ships. Not only have the archers been boarded, but they've dealt little, if any, a little bit of kills. And my warrior, my thorax swordsman ships has been sunken very early and done pretty much 0 casualties. They just roughed up the ship a little bit. Really devastating. I mean,
an entire unit has
you perished. Can go for like several ships at sea, but in the end you're not going to do much, as seen by there, because you sort of have to meet the offense with the offense in this one. You can't really sit back and defend as a ship, and they'll come for you. And especially these are swift barbarian ships, and looks like I might be wrong about them not coming this way. So let's just see. Yep, they're going way too far out, so that means we gotta man the defenses here.
General!
Now in this position you wouldn't want to panic and put your general on the front line, because the sooner your general dies, the sooner bad things happen for your army. And you don't want them too close there either. I did a video on my personal channel, Forsaken Reaper, where a long time ago, back when I used Bandicam to record, now I use traps by the way, where the Romans dropped off into the shore from the boats, and that means that they could drop down, basically penetrate your lines, separate, divide and conquer your units. So you want to make sure that they're a distance off of the shore, in fact enough to give them some space to run up to you. And I'm going to put them in hoplite formation. In fact, it still seems like they're a little too far up for my personal preferences, but just for the sake of it. In fact, yeah, move them back just a bit. There we go. Yep, there they come. Let's see who we got. Oathsworn, the enemy general. Persian assault trees, Levy Freeman, no big deal, and Levy Freeman. These guys have 40, these guys have 60. Yeah. I think we're going to be able to totally beat them in that. Let's just get a little cinema. Now, as you can see, since we're facing barbarians, they're not heavily armored at all. You can see several of them black shirts, but they're fierce in combat, melee combat. So you want to keep them at bay, especially with those missile troops. And very soon, we'll see the comparison of the peltasts in spread it out versus clumped together. Clumped together may kill a couple more men in the front and deter the charge, but with a longer line of different, I don't know how to explain it, angles upon the enemy for which you shoot, I think will make the difference, especially when defending a castle. Let's watch. This is the tower shooting. In a moment, the peltests will start. One enemy down. As you can see, several hit. I count 4 in that volley. Now let's see how these guys do. It's a bit hard to tell between the towers and the frontal assault, but it seems like the frontal assault at this point is doing more damage. But if you take a look at the angle here, and then you take a look at the angle here, they're kind of blocked off, so it's not really fair for their part. They should get a better beat on these guys. So as you can see, the missiles are pouring onto the enemy. However, oh, just in time. We'll come back to that. And now the barbarians. Oh man, right up to it. Perfect. I'm glad I moved them back, because otherwise they would have been right there. And they would have been right in melee combat. Let's see how we do. So far we're holding them very well. They don't get much acceleration to charge, and our phalanx is holding fast. But now
one of our units has used all its ammunition.
Reinforcements have arrived, and is it suspect? Yeah, that's what I thought. The peltests already have not too much ammo, but they've used so much throwing it into the enemy spears that whatchamacallit, they've run out of ammo.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
It's time to... Oh, never mind. I was going to say it's time for the other ones to shine, but they ran out. So we'll just see at the end what their statistics are in comparison. And it seems we've really halted the forward advance, the first wave at least, but the second wave obviously is far more ferocious, with more men at least. And they have got halfway, pretty much, fire damage.
General!
Let's see. Let's try and get our general in the Oathsworn battle. Wait, let's be tactical. The flanking in Rome 2 is essential.
Our general is under attack.
Not only does it deter the morale of the opposing force, but it gets a good position on the enemy where they're deprived of self-reinforcements, like several ranks in. Once the front lines start taking casualties, the back lines are already fighting the troops behind them. And it does look like it could fit 3 units, but either way, let's check on the gates. Really taking casualties, these guys are not going to be a problem here. Oop, whoa, 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 whoa. And we definitely are holding the beach here, especially outflanking their Oathsworn, who have taken half their casualties nearly. And their levy freemen stand no chance against Season's hoplites. And so far it's looking very good. What I would have done, just for a quick attacking thing, is sent a lump sum of units, of course with some in the back, but because when you're just sending in waves like this, it cuts them down more and makes it easier for the harder waves. So if you're going to do waves, send in the crab troops first, because you're going to need those seasoned veterans to charge in. And obviously you can see our defensive formation here. It's not looking very good for the barbarians now, even on hard difficulty, which I have on. Maybe I should have gone to extreme or whatever the next one is, but Celtic slingers are just standing there getting shot because they have no other option to just stand there. And if those that are not throwing the fire sticks, get out of the range of the enemy towers. And in fact, we have defeated the enemy that beached our shores. Oh, no, pretty much. We have our picked hoplites, which are the elite of almost all Greek city-states, minus the Spartans, of course. Picking the best hoplites.
The enemy general
out of
is dead.
All the hoplite units that the army had, and putting them into one unit, making it like a dream team essentially. And barely deterred. In fact, only lost 5 men. These guys lost a bit more, 13. But that's all right. See, these guys didn't even lose a man to the levy freemen. They don't. Usually that's another thing about attacking with ships. The enemy does not usually have strong ship units. They're usually weak, and we appear to be having another visitor. Let's see what happens when we get too close to the landing. Just to sort of prove my point. And if you're attacking, take or at least berit the enemy of the capture point, because that provides a morale boost, which makes it more difficult to attack. And it turns out these are just levy freemen as well that the hoplites faced before, but there's only 40 of them. That was a prison assault quadrime that had 60. And it appears that they're coming ashore. Looks like they went really far off to the left side, and they're gonna jump right into the battle. That guy jumped right into the fray. See, what he did is he disrupted the formation. Now the formation and the men on the front lines are susceptible to attack from the side, like that guy right there. And that provides a very dangerous...
Our gates are utterly destroyed.
It provides a very dangerous attack. But it would appear that for some reason, why... Oh, yes. I mean, K mode. Cinematic K. Now the enemy charges, but there's one thing that they're not counting on, which is the bane of many attackers, especially when they get clogged into the gateway. And you'll see what that is in a moment. See, they're staring them down. They charge through the gates.
The battle is turning in our favor.
And boiling oil comes and burns. I believe we have our mercenary veteran hoplites. Let's just spice it up. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'm just doing it for fun. But keep that formation, and it should be good for you. The key to keeping the enemy out of your castle is stopping them at the gates. Because once they run rampant through your streets, it's their game now. You must keep your forces, do whatever you must to keep them at the gates. And by that, I mean literally make several layers of defense. Like, with these guys, what I could do since they're out of ammo and they're pretty much useless, don't send them straight into the army. That'll get the enemy experience in battle, and that's not what you need. So what I do is what I did before with those. And remember, don't really just clog that up. It'll just cause way more casualties than necessary. As you can see, they're wavering consecutively. And they were really, for a hardbot, really stupid with their artillery. They just had them land. They didn't really do much. We have a decisive victory there. Syracuse victory. And let's just look at the statistics. Yep, lost 159. And lost 516 out of 660. As you can see, the most kills they got were from the Oathsworn for 44. The only reason these got kills were from the ships. And we look at the Peltest, and they got the same number of kills. They, for some reason, got an XP rank. So I guess it all depends on position. And obviously, if you got at an angle with the clumped up units more, it would be much more of an onslaught than long thing with an angle. But I must say, they did pretty good. 54 kills for the picked hoplites. 61 kills for the regular hoplites, because they held off those two levy freemen. And I want to thank you for joining me. And what was done before. If you have any suggestions or you need some help, your friend beat you in a match and you need to know in a siege match, particularly at least now. Maybe I'll do a more tactic videos later on. But a friend beat you in a siege match and you want to know how to get him back, tell me. I'll get you up with a guide to the video. Thanks for tuning in. Hope it helped. And if you have questions about anything, in the comments. See ya.